Hola, I am La Yuma Cubana, and the purpose of this recording is to open up some dialogue and enhance awareness on how technology, in particular cell phones, have affected social norms and culture here in the United States of America. Now, I will say that this is solely based on my observation and research, and I'm an 80s baby. So I come from a hybrid generation in that I didn't procure a cell phone until my early to mid-20s. And when I was an adolescent, we used beepers, these small rectangular devices that transmitted messages that were numerical. We used payphones for a quarter to call each other back. So at that time, nobody could foresee, not even Nostradamus mentioned this in any of his quatrains, that there would be something inevitably vying for our attention all the time. When I first started using a cell phone, the plans were charged by the minute, meaning the more you talkie, the more it costs you at the end of the month, right? There was a direct relationship. Now, that gave us a little bit of restraint, right? We were somewhat frugal with our words and efficient with our communication because we knew that if we would talk too much, we'd get a very large bill at the end of the month. Now, when that became unlimited, to me that was the equivalency of opening up Pandora's box. Because then cue in social media, right? 2003, MySpace, Facebook followed suit a few years after that, and then incrementally, something else grandiose would come out. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. It was almost this gradual, imperceptible desensitization that we all went through as a society to reach this point, which I think of saturation. So it's reached this ubiquitous scale, right? And with some things that do that, sometimes it will inherit a dark facet that almost counters the benefits and the pros of it. So now, social media, our cell phones have become the pinnacle of a lot of our resources. For example, music. More often than not, I see a lot of people at the gym, they get done with the set, they get a notification, check it, respond. Oh, now I have an email, let me respond to that. And then down the rabbit hole they go. You look over 5 minutes later, they're still idle in the same place. Now, your workout is supposed to be time for you, my friend, right? An investment within yourself, for your well-being, for your health, right? To work out the instrument of your body, right? And if that's being punctuated by constant interruptions, then it's not the greatest workout you could be getting. You lose your target heart rate, your body gets cold, you lose track of where you are in your set. To counter that, even when I was a network engineer and I was on call and I had my BlackBerry on me, I would still use an iPod. Have your music be independent. Try that and see if you're less distracted. Another resource is camera. Some of us have these gargantuan databases of photographs, some of which we wouldn't pay a penny to have developed, and yet they're just taking up digital footprint, and so it's not that big of a deal. Now, how often do we actually go back and scroll through and reminisce on some of these pastime moments? Or if it's on an external hard drive and it's organized into folders, do we open up the folder and go through and I find that we're more prone to doing that if we have a physical, if we can physically hold it in our hand like a hard copy. My mom has a box of Polaroids, and there's just something nostalgic about it. Going through it, seeing myself as a baby. Another resource is video recorders. I am thankful that my friends and I growing up didn't have these contraptions because I wouldn't want any footage out there without me knowing, right? We did a lot of, just our infantile ways of thinking and just our immaturity, Another resource, Google Maps. How did we ever get anywhere before, you guys? The other day I was en route, and maybe this has happened to you, my Google Maps just crapped out on me. I was on the highway and I had no idea where I was going. I didn't read the step-by-step directions. Now, back in the day, that's how we used to get places. We would offer each other step-by-step directions on how to reach a destination. Car trouble? No problem. Lift the hood. Somebody will come and help you out. So, now, unbeknownst to a lot of people, as we're interacting with these devices, there is a consequence, right? The primary one for me is the chemical cocktail that is brewed within the brain. Primarily dopamine. Now, it is a natural chemical that our body regulates pretty well, right? And we have a finite amount of it that we make every so often. And once that is depleted, depression can set in, irritability, restlessness. People with Parkinson's that shake a lot have very low levels of dopamine, so it affects your motor skills. The menacing part of dopamine is that it doesn't care if it's a piece of chocolate, a line of cocaine, a mango, a shot of heroin, a like, a text. It doesn't even matter. It just binds the experience anyways, and causing compulsion and repetitive behavior. So let's just keep that in mind. Another consequence is the radioactive frequency exposure. We're in 2019 and I still see people holding their cell phone to their scalp. Even in the manual, and I know like who reads a manual, but on there it says hold it a certain amount of inches away from your head when you're using it. The phenomenon ghosting vibrations. Individuals that don't even have their cell phone on their person and yet and they still feel the sensation of it. You guys, how about the more abstract consequences? Like our emotional weakening to one another, especially when we're in close quarters, like elevators and saunas. We don't really interact with each other like we used to. And that is a damn shame, because you know why? We are walking compilations of the stories of our lives. And even if you can't get through a chapter, even if you just get through a page, you never know how a person might inspire you or motivate you, or how they just might drop a pearl of wisdom that you might utilize for the rest of your God-given life. I say it because it's happened to me. And so we should take the time to listen, right? That's why we have 2 ears, 1 mouth. We listen, right? Learn people's stories. That is the very fabric of life, and those memories are what we actually take with us. So, desensitization, our inability to enter flow. When we're working on a task, our attention is just being divided, right, between what it is that we're trying to focus on and concentrate and our cell phones. And the same thing happens to kids. Now, as an American, right, free time has been a scarce resource for how long now? You've heard it. There just aren't enough hours in a day. I'd like to work out. There just isn't enough time. Okay, so now, after the 40-plus hour work week, if you have kids, their school, their homework, their after-school activities, grocery shopping, cleaning the house, your social activities, working out, etc., that sliver of free time that you have for yourself, how is that being divvied up and reinvested in your life? Are you completing the goals and aspirations that you have for yourself, or are you just surrendering that back into social media? It's a question. It's a good question to ask yourself. Now, you will find that when you start to observe your environment, once we default into this digital vortex that has no grass or moon, right, or flowers, our stream of consciousness literally follows suit. It goes along with it. My friend Amber worded it perfectly. It is the opposite of mindfulness. It is a 180 of mindfulness, right? So perhaps this has happened to you, where you're conversing with somebody and then all of a sudden their phone goes off and they take it out. As you're talking, they start to check it, and they assure you, no, go ahead, I'm totally listening. Go ahead, I'm totally listening. No, you're not. Like, when did that become normal, man? Like, that is absolutely rude. Whatever that is in your cell phone, it can wait a few minutes, or at least find a good breaking point and just be like, I'm sorry, I need to check this. Would you just please give me a moment? Right? Let's start to build that kind of etiquette and just respect for one another. Somebody that's in our physical presence, right? That should take precedence over anything virtual in your phone. We can call each other out in lighthearted ways like that. Okay? Now, I would like to call a spade a spade. Let's talk about the elephant that's sitting in the room and not want to take a selfie with it. This is an addiction, and the Latin word is enslaved to, or bound by, right? And enslaved is a good word for it, because the hierarchy should be master, slave, human, phone, respectively. But it's not. Somehow, along the line, this has been flipped, right? We behave as though, we react to it as though it is a newborn infant, and it is not. Right? Like, we're tethered to this fetus of a cell phone by this umbilical cord, hence why we have to carry it in every single room of the house with us, including the bathroom, by the way. No, that is a false belief. It's not true. Now, this is an addiction which is two-faceted, just like smoking and alcohol. There is a mental component, psychological. You ever check your cell phone for no reason? Didn't even go off. That is habituation, my friend. That is conditioning, Pavlov's theory. What about the physiological, the physical addiction? Remember those chemicals we were talking about? Oh yeah. Your body expects it now, right? Grows a dependency on it. So if you don't give it what it wants, that's why you feel that itch. which is why, on an average, we check cell phones in the States 150 times a day. I invite you, right? The next time that you're out in public and you observe, right, you're just looking around and you see all these people on their cell phones, and with every cell in your body, intended pun, you also want to pull out your cell phone because monkey see, monkey do, and it's contagious and it's a domino effect. Don't. Do something different, right? Start to break that habit. Look around you. See if you can find a funny or warm moment between people. What's a barista doing, right? Or if you're out in nature like I am, look around you. You see a butterfly. Ponder the fact that that was crawling not too long ago, retreated into a cocoon, turned into liquid over a period of 2 weeks. Now it's flying. That's mágico. It's magical, you guys. We were born into a magical world, right? And not only have we become desensitized to the magic of each other, the fact that there's blood dancing in our veins and that there's this meat that's wrapped around these bones and how we're all skeletons underneath. And God, you know, it's like this is the greatest instrument that we will ever own is our mind and body. So we've become not only desensitized to each other, but to our world alike and the creatures who inhabit it along with us, right? And what I am asking is, can we resurrect that childlike awe the world did for each other? Kids, when you take them to a playground, they just walk up to each other, hey, you want to play? Right? That beautiful vulnerability, right? That is innate within us. Now, the white papers are published. They're online. It's just a matter of putting in some keywords, you know, addiction to technology, whatever the fact. These social media companies, they're dopamine vampires, and not like the cool ones like in the Lost Boys. No, they are specifically designing these things along with neuroscientists that understand the reward system and addiction aspects of our brains and exploiting our vulnerabilities as human beings. They want you to stay on there as long as possible. For the same reason, the feed in your Facebook, have you noticed it's never ending? It's not like Netflix where after a while it's going to ask you still watching? You're like, yes, Netflix. No, it's never going to ask you that. For the same reason, there's no clocks in casinos. They want you to stay there as long as you allow yourself to. And there's nothing, listen, you guys, there's nothing wrong with it in moderation, right? It wouldn't be so detrimental, as a matter of fact, if we were doing it in moderation. The question is, and not everybody, I get it, but are we finding a balance between, you know, I hear you, you know, some people are like, Elizabeth, you know, sometimes I just want to do something mindless and like not think and just watch something, and okay, I get it, but are we finding a balance? Are we feeding our minds with things that expand our knowledge and our wisdom and inspiring us along with kind of the stuff that's a little mindless? And I don't mean to pick on the Kardashians, but they're so easy. Like keeping up with their Kardashians. Or, you know, which body part did Jennifer Lopez work out today? Like, nobody, they don't care. They don't care about you, right? I'm just saying, if you're going to indulge in that delicious drama, fine, do so. But set a limit for yourself and find that balance, right? Between mindlessness and mindfulness. Because, I mean, even reading a book, it's not comparable, not the same thing. Your mind has to build that mental schema. What do the characters look like? What environment are they in? And a good author can do that for you. It is not the same thing as watching YouTube videos or even television, which is bubblegum for the brain. The original bubblegum for their brain is actually television. But that was more of a family activity. People had it in their living rooms. We all got together as a family and watched it, right? It's not passive, input that's being, fed into our retinas, right? It's not the same thing. So please let's go ahead and find a balance with that. Now studies are being conducted on children in particular over the course of a score of years, 20 years, to figure out the true consequences for them on their developing nervous systems, right? Social impediments, right, that are developing because they're constantly. Do our children know unstructured and autonomous play anymore? I mean, when I was a kid, I used to take my bike around the block. Abuela, yo voy a hacer una vuelta por la manzana, which specifically translates to I'm going to go around the apple, which whatever. And my friends are like, apple? What is she talking about? But no. So it's do they? And a huge question for me personally, something I'm very passionate about, is do